York, Congresswoman Nan Hayworth joins us. She represents New York's 19th Congressional District in the U.S. Congress. Congresswoman, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Great to be with you.
Well, I wanted to get some reaction, what you thought about what the president had to say and what Mitt Romney had to say about the economy.
Well, I was able to hear a fair amount of the president's speech this afternoon in the midst of, as you may know, the members of the House are at home in our districts this week, so of course we're out among our constituents. But what I heard the president say was that we need to grow our economy, and I agree with him, but I disagree strongly with the president in his stance on how we achieve that, because he has failed to acknowledge in his speech that we are headed for the biggest tax increase in American history as of January 1st, unless we take action now. And the president's own budget called for expiration of the 2001 and 2003 tax structures, which is going to be an enormous burden. And in fact, it's so familiar to so many people that they call it the fiscal cliff. We've got to do something about that.
All right, let me ask you, because I've talked to a number of members of the House and the Senate in the last few weeks since the idea of the tax-mageddon really became very visible in the public's mind. And
yes.
Here's what I want to know, and because this is important, and I know that everybody is elected, they intend good things when they get there, but I'm curious, when strategy sessions take place in the House, I know you can't speak for the Senate, but let's talk about the House. When they take place, are there discussions of how can we pass this bill, or are there discussions of how can we make the other guys look bad?
How can we pass this bill? How can we do the right thing for the American people? We have a leadership in the House that is eager, and I respect these men and women with all my heart, and they are eager to work with our Democratic colleagues to get the job done. It is absolutely not about political gamesmanship on our side, and I could speak for this member in particular to tell you I work very happily with our Democratic colleagues and have on many occasions. We're just about getting the job done and doing the right thing, and if we're right for everybody.
Well, let me ask you, when this is going to come up, and when will it be discussed in at least the House? When will tax-mageddon be addressed?
The Speaker has said, as you may recall, Ernie, that last week the Speaker did say that we were quite possibly going to have an extension of the 01 and 03 tax structures put on the legislative schedule for sooner rather than later, not awaiting the end of the year. And I certainly wholeheartedly support that kind of relief. I think it would be good for the economy.
Well, it's certainly, I know that business owners will tell you that not knowing what the future holds means they can't do anything, so everything's on hold until things in Washington are resolved.
That's exactly right. It is a drag on our economy. They're not hiring. I have had men and women in business tell me in our district here in the Hudson Valley that they would really love to hire and to expand, but they're holding tight because they don't know what's coming. But if things stay as they are, if the course stays as it is, and we don't extend those 2001 and 2003 tax breaks, and if we have the terms of the 2010 health law, there's a whole raft of new taxes coming, including on dividends, that are going to really hurt. That kind of new tax is going to really hurt our seniors and our savers. We've got real problems. We've got a real challenge, and it's going to shrink our economy, not grow it. And this is what I really want President Obama to understand.
What are some of the things that you think that you can compromise with Democrats on that might get us moving forward on this?
Certainly. And
some of the things that they could compromise with you on as well.
Well, the one principle that House Republicans have expressed over and over again, the line we most of us, including me, don't want to cross, is that we don't want to raise net taxes. The federal government is taking more than enough from the American people, and every dollar more that the federal government would take in taxes would take dollars away from the active economy. And certainly, unfortunately, President Obama's administration has shown that it's not good. at doing those so-called investments, and all we need to do is look at Solyndra. That's $500 million, more than $500 million of taxpayer dollars that could have gone into the real economy, where people who have to be smart about the way they use their investments, are using real money. But no, it was unfortunately simply wasted. We can't afford to keep doing that.
Can we get to the point though? Because I'm looking at just some basic numbers, and these are very rough, kind of ballpark numbers. We're taking in about $2.4 trillion. We're spending $3.6 trillion.
Yep.
Can we cut $1.2 trillion out of the budget, or do we have to have more revenue coming in? I mean, can we just simply cut $1.2 trillion out of the budget and not have any ill effects?
Right. Ernie, I think everybody would agree that it's going to be virtually impossible to make that kind of massive change in the federal budget. It would be ideal if we could balance that budget. That's what America's families are having to do, and they're having to do it with ever-shrinking resources in so many cases. Sure. But what we need to do is have a vision in which we do bring in more revenues without increasing taxes, and we do it by, and there's been, certainly this has been, support's been expressed by Democrats as well, including the president. Let's reform and simplify our tax code. Let's make it easier to deal with. And when we can make our tax code flatter and fairer, then we'll definitely have a boost to the economy, and we'll have increased revenues, because more people will be working and they'll be making the contributions that they'd like to make as members of our society, doing their part as well.
All right. This is New York Congresswoman Nan Hayworth, representing the 19th Congressional District in the House of Representatives. Thank you so much for coming on, Congresswoman.